Hey, this is Scott Spears welcoming you to a bonus edition of The Exchange this week here on WGH Talk. We've got Matt Morgan, Mike Wilson, and Glenn Coble along with us for the ride. Of course, Mike and Glenn had programs here on WGH Talk. Mike did the Mike Wilson Show for 2 years here. Glenn did A Progressive Life for 3 years, but they've stayed friends of the station. Come in and do programs with us. Matt has his show on Friday night and is here with me on Friday mornings, 8:15 until 1 in the afternoon. Also does the football games on Friday night and the Friday night show, 8:15 to 10 p.m. on this station. And Glenn's got an event we want to get in to going on this Friday at Tri Rivers.
That's right. At 6:30, we're going to have Meet the Candidates night, for a lack of a better term. And we're inviting everybody, Republican, Democrat, or Liberal, or middle of the road, or whatever you are. You're welcome to come and ask. Well, first of all, we're going to introduce all the Democratic candidates. And Mike Larson, who is a nationally known comedian, is going to be our MC, and he's going to introduce. We'll have Leslie Verba, we'll have Tammy Wilson, we'll have Craig Swartz. Hopefully we'll have one or two more, and we're gonna introduce them, and then you'll have plenty of time to ask every question you ever wanted to ask, and you can ask them questions of any sort. We're not going to censor any questions, and we'd love to have you there. 6:30 at Tri Rivers multi-purpose room out on the east side of town, and we'll have a good night.
Friday night, 6:30, October the 18th.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you the date. Thank you.
No problem. That's why I'm here. Now, I just want to say this, then we're going to do flowery topics this episode, because if you want to hear about politics, listen to our last episode. But I did want to say this because I forgot this quote because we ran out of time. Because if you listen to the last episode, just to cue you in, clearly we know who Glenn's going to vote for. Matt says no Trump, but he won't tell us who he's going to vote for. Mike says he has been Trump, but no Trump this time, but he hasn't said who he's going to vote for. And somebody said something today on I don't know what it was, but I think I saw it on my cell phone. And essentially it was, when you walk into that booth, it'll be between God and you who you vote for. You don't have to prove to me who you vote for. You don't have to prove to others who you vote for. But if you believe a person truly is a danger, it's between you and God who you're voting for.
Now I have a question for you, Scott.
Oh, go right ahead.
For whom are you voting?
None of your business.
I knew that one was coming.
No, but that's journalistic integrity. I would never say I would not vote for one person. I would wouldn't even go that far. Because I do believe it's been a mystery now for 25 years that I've been in journalism. People have, it's so funny because I've had the Democratic Party, the head of the Democratic Party in town swear I'm a Republican, and I've had the head of the Republican Party swear I'm a Democrat, so I figure I must be doing something right. And I've had everybody from Jim Jordan to Jesse Jackson on the program. So that's quite a list.
So that makes you nonpartisan as far as a journalist.
Right,
That's the way it should be.
Right, but if I told you who I was going to vote for, even if I did the same job journalistically, they would say you're being unfair if they knew who I was voting for. So that's why. But I do have to say, and I'm not calling either one of you out on this, if I was not a journalist, I wouldn't have a problem saying who I was going to vote for. And I certainly do vote. I mean, there would be no reason not to say it. I wouldn't be afraid that somebody's going to club me or something.
And I
There are
respect
people
you for
that
that.
are.
Yeah,
I respect you for that.
Yeah, I would.
That's one of the problems.
What are they going to do? You know, if I say I'm going to vote for Trump, I mean, what are the Democrats going to do? I mean, if I'm going to vote,
won't do anything.
If I'm going to vote for, well, there you go. If I'm going to vote for Harris, what are they going to do?
That's where you get clubbed.
I haven't seen that happen. Hey, listen, I was at
there have been.
Well, there have been, but I haven't seen it around here. All right, let's get to the flowery topics.
Wait a minute. Let me suggest something to your listeners. If you want to see something that'll make the hair on your arm stand up on the end, watch Charlie Chaplin, The Great Dictator, the end movie, or the movie. At the end, he does probably a 3-minute monologue. And if it doesn't sound like the United States of America today, I'll eat your hat. Just go see it.
Oh, I'll tell you one better than that. A Face in the Crowd, Andy Griffith.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, watch it. It's an old movie. It's in black and white. but I'm telling you, I'm not going to tell you the ending. But Andy Griffith, this is long before the Andy Griffith. Well,
What's
not
it
long
called?
before.
Face in the Crowd?
Face in the Crowd.
Okay.
And essentially, Andy Griffith is playing a television personality who is helping. What are you doing?
Is that yours or
That's
mine?
mine. Gee whiz.
Okay.
You got sticky fingers going.
I'm trying to write
Anyway,
down what I'm trying to look at.
essentially, not under the cobwebs.
I must have left it in my coat.
Okay. I think you did. Anyway, we heard a noise. Essentially, Andy Griffith, it's right before the Andy Griffith show, probably a few years prior to that. It was a big movie. I'm trying to remember what the lady's name was who's in it, but also a famous actress. But essentially, he's a television personality who's helping get a politician elected. But he's getting more and more power by the things he says. But he's so nice on television. He'll say anything you want to hear. He's the nicest guy in the world. But in the woman who's with him, who's working with him, sees the real evil guy that he is, and how he really hates the people who's are voting for him and listening to his very word. He thinks they're all stupid. He thinks they're all morons. That they believe everything he says. And the end of the movie is great. But tell me, that's not where we are today.
What about 1984?
I didn't like. Well, I
don't
love
think that's
that.
what-
I read the book.
But I don't
Yeah.
think I see.
But Face in the Crowd.
Oh,
Watch
we're
that
getting
movie.
Well,
Yes.
away.
Have you
Yes,
seen-
there it is. And that's one of the best. What movie? What year was that?
57.
57. Yes. Patricia Neal is the female lead, and she's great.
Have you seen The Greatest Dictator?
No, I have to look at that. But the
yeah,
whole
it's a great movie. The whole movie, but
Face in the Crowd's a little newer.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
But you'll be shocked at how similar the final monologue is with what's going on.
Watch A Face in the Crowd
I
and then
will.
tell me what you think.
I'll watch that if you watch.
I'll watch The Great Dictator.
Now, were you there when that was first released?
What? The Greatest Dictator?
Yeah.
I was in my dad's.
Okay.
Thoughts.
Okay.
You had to ask.
He only had.
Oh
He only
Lord!
had 6 years to go before I was around.
But you were
okay.
around for A Face in the Crowd,
yeah.
1957.
1957.
3 years before me.
There you go. All right. So, have you seen A Face in the Crowd?
I have not.
Watch it. Let me know what you think of it.
I've seen lots of faces in the crowd.
No, Andy Griffith. You really see how great an actor he was. Everybody thinks he's Mayberry, but this is a great movie. Okay, flowery topics with 20 days to go to the election here. A woman's toddler started calling her ex-husband's wife mother, mama. Yeah. She said she is not the child's mother, but the husband said she is when you are not here. Now, should you be telling your child to call the ex-husband's wife mother? This happens a lot.
What?
I think you stated that wrong, Scott. You might.
No, that's true.
No, I
I
understand.
said it right. Should you be telling your child to call your wife mother when it's not your mother?
I think you should ask your child, what would you like to call her?
Oh, so like,
But what? It's a toddler.
I don't care. Toddler might call her
Well,
Dada. That would be fine.
They might not be comfortable calling another person. You know, if they got a good relationship with their mom.
Yeah, but she's a toddler. I don't think that if you say, "Hey, this is a nice lady," call her mom. The toddler's probably going to do that.
Why would you do that?
Well, that's what happened here, I think.
It sounds like it.
I think parents are stupid sometimes.
yeah.
I think
So you
that's-
think this should not happen?
I'm not going to tell anybody
Yeah,
what they do
no.
with their kids.
I don't. Well, I don't have kids, so I'll go ahead and tell people what they should do with their kids. I don't think you should do it. I guess. I don't think that. I mean, I think that if you, so it's a whole like stepmom thing. You know, I mean, I think that I don't think you should be, forcing your kids to call stepmom mom. I don't think that. I think that that's how. I think that's how bitter relationships start.
Yeah, I agree with you.
What do you think, Mike?
Absolutely.
I agree with that too.
So, but what if the toddler starts calling her mom?
Then let the toddler do that.
then the
That's
toddler
his
does-
choice.
yeah.
Oh,
the toddler
what
is
if it hurts the
comfortable.
mother's feelings?
Well, it sucks for the mom, I guess.
Yeah. How old is she? Mama? She's probably older than a toddler. But she.
That's a true statement.
Well, I think that would have to be true.
But if she
I
acted,
don't. If she's
hurt.
not, that's a heck of a story.
yeah.
No, but I don't think a toddler. We're talking like 3, 4 years old here. I mean, I don't think the toddler even knows what they're doing. So I think that could hurt. I mean, you know, you're a mother, you're a young mother, you're young, certainly when you have this child, and now the baby that you birthed, whose life you're in, is calling some woman who's married to your ex-husband mama? I think you could have a problem with that.
Excuse the expression, and I know she can't, but get a pair.
Well, I think that's...
Yeah, I think at that point you're just gonna have to realize that it happens. I think that, I mean, you always have, I mean, you will still, I mean, unless you, like, for whatever reason, lost the ability to see your kid, you're still gonna be mom to your kids.
First of all, you got to think about this logically. If the toddler is not calling every woman he sees mama.
Yeah.
So somewhere along the line, either this woman or the father has said, call this woman mama, and he does say, the husband said, when the ex-wife went to the husband and said, I'm the child's mother, she's not, the husband said, she is when you're not here. So you know that at some point, they've told this child to call her mama.
Sounds a little defensive, yeah.
Yes, it certainly does. So I think that's a problem.
It is a problem that you should
like I
get
said,
there.
I mean, yeah, like I said at the very beginning, I don't think you should be telling your kids to call their stepmom mom, because I think that's, I mean, bitter relationships.
But what do you do about it?
I mean, if the kid just starts calling, I mean, what are you going to do now? I mean, it's already happened.
Let them decide on their own what they want to call that
on that
person.
issue.
Yeah, but I think when you've birthed the baby, you probably you're defensive.
Well, I mean, I get.
Grow up.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it, but like once again, like you were married to, or maybe you weren't married, but I don't know. Either way, you were with this man, and now you were not, and he got a new. Like it's the same concept as like like it's I don't know. Move on.
We had a big conversation last week, and you said that your mother was the most important person in your life.
Yep.
And I even heard back from people, your mother being one of them.
Yep.
Oh, you tell that story. And now the rest of the story.
No,
you got called on the carpet for something you said about this.
My mom, my grandma had I guess watched it, and she got it all backwards. Because I had said that because you had said that it was your mom and your sister who were the most important women in your life, and I said for me it'd be my mom and my grandma, and then for some reason my grandma took it the exact opposite way and said that like the only person that I said, like the only woman I said I cared about was my mom, and I don't care about I don't know, something like that. So my grandma thought I was just dissing her and my sister.
You don't care about your grandma, and you don't care about your sister. That's how it came to me.
Yeah, and I was like, what? Did you even listen? Like, I don't know, but. So yes, I got in trouble for saying something I didn't say. So
sorry.
The things you say on this show are very dangerous. You got to watch what you're saying.
I hope I didn't help you get in trouble.
No, it was interesting though, because even after you pleaded your case to your mother and told her your version of the truth, she came to me and said, "Did he really say that, or did he not say that?" And
yeah, watch it. It's here.
Has your mother graduated from grade school? Oh, I'm sorry, that's terrible. But it just seems so immature to worry.
Mom's going to be calling in.
Oh, no, Glenn, you're going to get it.
No, I just think that's pretty immature to worry about what a little kid calls somebody.
I think Mom was upset about it, and so was Grandma.
And I can see being upset.
They were the two who I said I cared about the most.
Yeah, your sister should really be ticked.
You keep it inside.
I think she get it.
that stuff. I think mature adults would keep that stuff inside and let the kid alone.
Well, I don't know. I think at some point, as a grown person, I think you have to realize that you have favorites. Like that was the whole conversation we had that started this. You have favorites. Like it's not like one is like heavily outweighing the other. But like you know who your favorites are.
But you don't go around telling people.
No, yeah. But I mean, we were talking about it. So
no, but
so we did.
But now I think no matter if you have step parents or you have adoptive parents or whatever, you have one mother, you have one father.
That's right.
And I would never call anybody else mother or father because I knew who my mother and father were.
But you're an adult.
Really? I understand. But what does that mean? What does that mean?
It means you have more understanding, more wisdom than a toddler has.
Well, I certainly have wisdom. You got that right. Say that again.
I don't remember. I wasn't listening. I don't know what I said.
I said I have wisdom.
Wisdom plays for the Chicago.
Oh, you
Cubs.
enjoyed hearing that. Was that?
I
okay.
certainly did.
Well, there's some teeth you should have removed.
And then Glenn
Your
can tell
wisdom
me
teeth.
I'm right again. In any event, I just don't believe that you should. I don't think you should tell a child. I don't think you should imply to a child that somebody's their mother when they're not their mother,
I agree.
especially a toddler.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
we've all, as adults, we've all done something stupid like that. Said, "Oh, call him Uncle Andy," because you're trying to make Uncle Andy think you like him a lot, and that's more of a personal thing than the kid thing.
Hey, I'll tell you, and I don't even know if this has ever come out. I would have to think it's come out, but I haven't been around to see the fallout. But I knew a man and a woman were married, and they had 2 kids, okay? And then they got a divorce. And then, in the meantime, she hooked up, she had a one-night stand that turned into a baby. Now, she told the baby's father, get comfortable. She told the baby's father. Oh God. She told.
Down on the floor.
She told the.
She told the baby.
I don't care anymore. She told the baby. This is a very dramatic story, Mike, and you're jumping around like a hot potato over
I'm
here.
sorry.
I know
Yeah.
how to correct that, but it would be ugly.
You need more potassium in your diet. But anyway, get the doctor.
I'm bananas for that idea.
It's wisdom. So anyway, she had a one-night stand. But she told, while she was pregnant, she told the baby's father, get out. I don't want you in my life. I don't want you in the baby's life. And she went back and asked the father and the father's mother, who was still living at that time, can I give this baby the same last name as you that I don't have right now because we're not married? So all 3 kids will have the same last name. And that child did refer to him as father. And I, to this day, don't know if that child really knows, because it was a big secret. You could not say it, that it was, you know.
And that's a legal thing, too. Somehow or other, they had to get that approved.
I think they said he adopted him, but they're shifty people, so I really don't know if the paperwork ever got filed or not.
Then throw him out.
It worked for the Bradys.
No, but I'm saying, is that right? This boy might one day want to go find his father.
Right.
And
And
he's
that-
not full brother and sister with these other 2 who he thinks he is.
I see
Can you
your
imagine? Can you imagine? We talk about being a toddler. Well, when he's a toddler, it doesn't really matter. But when he's 17 and one of the family members who do know about this walks up and say, hey, do you know that your dad is really not your dad all 17 years of your life? I think that's more traumatic than starting to tell the kid when they're young.
Well, when I was very young, probably 7, 8, around then, I asked my mother if I was related to my brother and sister. My brother is 8 years my senior. My sister is 10 years my senior. And we had a family get-together to talk about that. And I am, but
So can you imagine if you weren't?
I think it
No,
would have
no.
been the way to do it, to have a family get together and say, okay,
What?
John and Marietta, tell Glenn that you love him like a brother, but he's not. I don't know what you tell him.
What was the whole point of this sit down if they were your full siblings?
We wanted to get it.
Sorry, I was just
Yeah, no, I
confused.
understand that. I was really concerned because
What gave you this concern?
the age difference?
Oh, the age difference.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
thought your mother
Somebody, I think, at
said
school,
something.
School.
There you
asked me
go.
something, yeah.
There you are. See, that's the problem.
Why is your brother in high school or something? Like
So
that?
you gotta tell. You cannot say call her mama. You can't let that go along because kids get confused.
Let them call whoever they want to call.
But
Uncle John, if that's what you want to call him.
oh, it's just not true.
You know,
though.
a little bit off topic here, but one time I was at one of my friend's house and his nephew was over, and I've been friends with this kid forever, so I was over at his house, and his nephew started calling me Uncle Matthew, and I said no, I am not your uncle. It's not like recent.
I think it's on topic.
It was not-
Why is that
sorry.
off the topic, Mike?
It was not.
I think it's right on topic.
It was not a recent thing. Like this
Oh,
was
call
this
me
was, this
uncle.
was years ago. But so like I was young, and I think it was just weird because like I don't know. But anyways,
Years ago
I was
for
like
you,
I
it's
am
not
not
How
your
old was this
uncle.
kid?
Oh, he was single digits.
He's
Well,
gonna
like what? 9, 10, or 1, 2?
Well, closer to 9, 10.
Okay, so you just said no.
Yeah, I was like, I am not your uncle. He's your uncle. I am just friends with him. You see, we are not related at all.
Now, who said call you uncle?
Nobody told him to call me uncle. I just been there for so long that one day he just said Uncle Matt, and I'm like, no.
I don't see a problem. I don't see a problem with that though.
Well, I was just like, I was just like 15 or something like that, and I was like,
Last year.
it was more like yeah,
6 months ago.
So I was like, I don't know about all that because I don't know, because like Casey is
Why didn't
my
you
friend.
want to be called Uncle Matt?
Because
it
my
just
friend has my friend has responsibility to like watch this kid when like like when he's over, like I don't know, just like his parents will be there too, so like he'd be just like he has to watch him, like like the whole communal thing. But like
They live on a commune?
no, they don't live on a commune. But
Oh,
like if
they're
they're all
communal.
there, but if they're
I
all
did-
there,
did you
it's
understand
Group
that, Mike?
sex stuff.
This country has a testosterone problem. I did not. Somebody said that in a previous episode. It wasn't me. Go ahead.
But so like I don't know. I was just like, look, it just felt weird because like I have no relation to the kid, and like I felt like if I all of a sudden took on the whole Uncle Matthew thing, I'm like a role model per se. Like I'm now a member of.
Oh, now you gotta be good.
Yeah, I'm like a member of family to this kid.
Listen, my
So yeah,
blood
I was like,
uncles were certainly not.
I'm not all about that. Like I'm gonna do.
My
Leave me
blood
alone.
uncles certainly were not role
I was
models.
like, I'm not related to you.
Not
You
one of
guys
them.
are all related. I'm just here.
Yeah.
And you know what? I kind of understand that for your age. Now, somebody my age and somebody like that's calling me uncle, I would consider it a compliment
Well,
and
I mean-
would go with it.
Yeah, I mean,
I could understand
I,
that.
I think now, I mean, I know it's like, been 5 years, 10 years. No, 10 years. I'm stupid. 6 years. Roughly.
You're voting for the Green Party, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You don't have to count. You don't have to be able to count.
Because you're not
See
gonna.
that? I slipped that one right in. That one came right in. There you go. That's all
But
Jill
like-
Stein voters, right?
Are we
But
almost done?
They don't even know where they are.
But like now, I think it'd probably be fine. I don't think it'd be such a thing now, but I was still in like, 9th grade or something, and I was like, I don't know about all that.
All right. So, should the toddler call the wife of the father mother?
We've already established.
No.
No.
No. All right, we're all in agreement. First time in this tonight. All right, it only took 90
Oh, wait a
minutes
minute. I
to
can't
get.
agree with.
You had to agree? No.
Well, is he a Democrat or a Republican?
D or an R.
It's a
I
compliment.
should not call him this. All right, here we go. Another topic, real quick. Jennifer Lopez. We all love her, don't we? Jennifer Lopez is opening up for. What the heck was that?
She's getting old. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, she's, what, about 40?
50?
Oh, excuse me, she's over the hill. Jennifer Lopez is opening up for the first time about her breakup with Ben Affleck. She feels good. She's not looking for anyone. She's fixing herself and looking at the mistakes she's made because she's been married a heck of a lot of times.
That's good for
And
her.
So, when a
And
relationship...
twice to him, isn't it?
I don't think she was ever married to him, but I
Just
think they
lived
were...
together, yeah.
Okay. And other things.
Yeah.
So the point is should you work on yourself and stop going from relationship to relationship when you realize you're a train wreck?
I think you should always work on yourself, whether you're a train wreck or you're in good shape, because you need to know who you are, because nobody else is going to care who you are.
But you can't do that when you are with somebody else, no matter how
Oh,
long.
yes, you can. I've done it
Oh, no, wait a
for
second.
56 years with my wife.
But that's a little different. I think when you're in a relationship... Okay, excuse me. When you're in a relationship, you do define yourself to some degree, no matter what the relationship. Why do you look at me like that?
Well,
As that person, you do. You're-
been married. And
Right, and clearly I need work. So the point is
That's
that,
for sure.
Well, wisdom, but I have too much wisdom. But the point is that you are such and such's wife, you are such and such's father, you are such and such's grandfather, and when you're in those roles, that does define who you are to a point, and you can't clearly work on yourself if you're a disaster. Now.
It defines you to the outside world. It does not define me that I'm Carol Coble's husband. I don't allow myself to be defined by anything like that. And I don't think most older men do. I think most older men know who they are. I'm sorry.
I'm still working on that. So.
Well, see, there you go. Case in point.
Okay.
What do you think?
As far as working on yourself, I don't know. I mean, I like to work on myself. I guess it's more like philosophy and whatnot. I don't know.
That's what I listen to. My wife hates it that I listen to quotes and philosophy on YouTube a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean, I like at work, I'll have like my earbuds in and like I'll be listening to just like, philosophy stuff.
Self-help
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, but I think it is very hard if you are in a relationship that is not settled to because you're putting on a show to a certain degree for that person.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and I think you also are defining yourself in that position at that time. So how can you work on yourself if you've got all that baggage over there?
Well, I think you should work on yourself first, and then you can worry about working on other people. I really don't think you should try to define yourself with what other people think of you. And I did for probably the first half of my life. So.
See, but it takes time.
Oh, it does take time.
Yeah. But I think the other person, once you realize you are an island alone from that person, when you can define yourself without being in that other person's sphere, you're going to do better. Clearly, I think all her life has been dependent on what the men thought about her. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that anytime, we had a story similar to this a while back where there was somebody who took like a year off of dating or something like that, and after the year they said that they didn't even want to go back to dating. And I think that that's probably true. I think that once you take, such a time off, I think that you start to like get out of the haze, so to speak, and I guess you realize that there's stuff to work on you.
To take this a step further, I am always amazed when I watch how people, guys who want to be a cowboy, wear a cowboy hat. Guys who want to be a tough guy, ride a motorcycle with lots of tats all over them. So you can identify people by what they wear, what they look, because there's nothing wrong with that. That's your life. But it's kind of interesting. Now that I'm over 70, I don't really worry about all that crap. I'm Buddy's dad, and I take him for a walk 5 times a day, and that's all I care about. And I am Carol Ann's husband, and that.
But that worked for you.
I hope it works for everybody that they grow up.
Yeah, but if you've been through 4 or 5 relationships, and here you are at 50 years old,
you're
and the
messed
same
up.
Exactly. And people think I'm being mean when I say if you are 40 or 50 years old and you've been married and divorced 4 or 5 times, you've got a problem. You really need to get away from people and work on yourself. Now, I understand you don't think you do, but they go right into the next thing because that's who they are. They define themselves by the people they're around, and you can't do that.
Yeah, you can almost always tell the type of person that a person like that is going to go date next.
Whatever they are lacking in the current relationship is what they will try to find in the next relationship. I've told this story, I don't know if I've ever said it with you two, but a girl who has been married and divorced 4 times, before she was 40, married, so think about that. She was not married until she was 18 or 19. Married and divorced 4 times before she's 40 years old. And had a couple live-ins in there. And she was going into a relationship with another guy, and I'm thinking, holy mackerel.
She must like sex.
Well, there you go. I didn't ask her that question, but what I said to her was, I said, well, what? Because I wanted to be positive and trying to be a supportive friend. I said, well, what do you like about this new guy? Because it's like, from one to the other, and she said, this is, and whether she meant it as a joke or not, she said it, and she never corrected it. She said, he drives me everywhere, and I don't have to pay for anything.
Interesting.
Now think about that.
Wow.
She thinks that sounds right. But he's happy to do it, because he's getting you know what. Just like you said, Glenn. Some people will put out for anything.
Don't ever tell your daughter that their grandson is dating that girl because of that. Don't do that.
Listen, for divorces, you got to take a look at that before you get involved, too, by the way. You got to say, no matter how much good you think she looks, no matter how nice you think she is, no matter how much you think she puts out, you got to steer clear of that. We got to I noticed you came awake when I said puts out. You woke up on that one. All right, we're going to break. We've got a whole nother half hour coming up. Don't you dare go anywhere. All right, and we're back here with Matt Morgan and Mike Wilson and Glenn Coble on WGH Talk. And what an interesting conversation we were having there as we went to break about certainly a lot of things. Now, Glenn, you've been married over a half a century. Working on yourself is one of the things we were talking about. What do you think?
Well, and I've had a lot of people say, why have you been married 56 years? And the reason why is because I made it through the rough times. And I think a lot of people, that's why I got married, so that I would be forced to stay with my wife. I know that sounds that sounds terrible, but that gets you through the rough patches, the times where you see somebody else that looks pretty good, or the times that you run out of money, or the times that you have an accident and you don't tell your wife where the car is and stuff like that, because it's behind the bar. But no, I really think marriage should come back in full force and force people to stay together, like her that you're talking about.
Jennifer Lopez.
Jennifer Lopez, because if it's easy to get a divorce, you will get a divorce. Why not? I mean, there's no downside to it.
Oh, it's certainly easy to get a divorce, 1 and 2.
Sure is.
Well, and that's a problem I'm talking about. If you're married and divorced, married and divorced, married and divorced 4 or 5 times, what does it mean?
Nothing. It's just you're going steady for a while. We all did that in high school.
Right.
At the time, it's convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what do you think? I mean, if this person gets married a 5th time, and what do you think that's going to mean?
Well, my opinion drops with every new marriage.
Oh, you get 2 marriages.
2.
After you hit the 3rd one, and then I'll be like, all right, I'll see you at the 4th one.
What if number 2 dies?
Well, that's different. I think if they're dying.
That's different. That's different.
Yeah, I think, well, see, here's the problem. I think if divorce is not death. So this is a different thing.
Yeah.
So I think that if you get married and it doesn't work out, a lot of times that can happen when you're very, very young. This is your first marriage. You don't really know what it's like. You don't know what it's about, so on and so forth. Okay, that's that. But the second time, you've been through it and you're willing to go into it again. Now, maybe that one will work. I mean, you certainly know what you're getting into this time, so I'm going to give you that one. But the 3rd one, now I'm starting to look at you. And I'm starting to think you might be the problem.
Mm-hmm. That's a serial divorcee. I'm afraid there are a lot of serial divorcees. People that I'm mad at him, I'm going to go someplace else. Or I'm mad at her and I'm going to go someplace else. I can't tell you that, well, I won't tell you the number of times that I've gone to bed at night and said, I'm dumping her tomorrow, and I wake up the next morning and we're all right. We have made a rule, and I've welched on it maybe 4 times, where when we go to bed, no matter what we've said, we will kiss and say goodnight to each other and say I love you. 4 times I didn't love her.
But you did it.
No, I didn't.
You did in 50-something years. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and I felt bad the next day. I woke up and I went, well, that was stupid.
Well, so the end result of this is what? Do you have to work on yourself? I think you've got to. At some point, you've got to say, I'm the problem, and something's got to be done.
I agree.
It might not even be you being the problem. It might be your choices being the problem.
Could be. Yeah. Could be. All right, let's move on to the next subject. I think this is interesting, following the subject we just talked about.
Okay.
More people, I didn't know anybody was doing this, but they're celebrating splits by throwing divorce parties and going on divorce moons, like a honeymoon. And that's the story. Do you think this is a good idea, to celebrate the end of a marriage and, I guess, the end of a relationship?
Boy, I think that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Especially if there are children involved.
Oh, absolutely, if there are children
That's even
involved.
worse.
No. Stay together. That's what you got married for. If you didn't want to get married, just live together and just screw. If that's what you want to do. I'm sorry, that's all you're doing if you're not going to get married and make no commitment. Marriage is a commitment, and it may not be an easy commitment.
But the marriage is over here.
Well, if the marriage is over, then get the heck out and leave the person alone. And yeah.
Don't.
But it's over.
In some cases, a celebration might be. I mean,
Yes,
you know.
I mean, I think a lot of people go out with their friends when a relationship ends or something
Well,
of that
that's
nature.
okay, but that's private, and it's not like saying, "Oh, look at
Right.
me! Look how smart I am!
Yes.
We're having a party." I hate that idea.
Well, I don't know that people are celebrating per se.
Oh,
In
it
this,
sounded like that. I'm sorry.
no, maybe I don't know. To me, it doesn't sound that way, but I could be wrong.
If you're throwing like a whole like you're getting like a whole New Year's party basically, but
That's
because
what
you
it
got
sounded
divorced,
like.
yeah, that's how I was taking it.
Yeah.
Like you were throwing a whole party because you were getting divorced.
Well, I think it is a party, but I don't think it's to rub it in the other person's face. I don't think you invite them.
well, no, you don't.
Why would you do
Yeah,
that?
I just put in New Year's because like I don't know, I had to think of some kind of party. Give it some kind of
If you're that happy you're getting a divorce, shut up and get the heck out. Leave it alone.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if
No
you're,
need to
I
hurt
think if
other
you're,
people.
I think if you're partying because you got a divorce, I think you're trying to cover up some hurt feelings you might have.
Maybe, good point.
Well, I don't know. Maybe. I think when you get a divorce, though, you probably are a little melancholy, and you want to cheer yourself up, and maybe that's what this is all about.
How many people do you think that get a divorce and then regret it?
That happens.
I don't know of anybody that's gotten a divorce, so I don't know.
Oh, well,
I'm sure I do. I just
do they regret it? I don't think they regret it. No, I don't know anybody who ever regretted it. Because most of the time they'll say, I hear two
Well, I mean,
responses. I'm glad that person's
Who's
gone.
gonna tell you that they regret it if they did regret it? You know how stupid you would look? Yeah, I shouldn't have divorced him. Worst decision I made in my life. I don't know that, you're gonna hear anybody openly saying that.
I've heard people say that on the other way. Worst decision I ever made marrying.
Yeah.
You hear that a lot.
But I mean, do you think deep down they really miss that person? I don't think that they do. I think they try to find somebody else.
I think that the majority of people probably don't miss him, but I mean, I think that somebody's probably got to divorce somebody in like a rash moment, and then all of a sudden, like a rash, I guess, period of time. But I think towards the end of that, I think that somebody somewhere has probably felt regret for it.
And I think that goes back to something Glenn said earlier, that divorce is too easy.
Yeah, it is.
It should be more difficult, and then maybe they'll work out their differences in that time.
And sometimes it only takes a few hours to work out your differences. But you've already walked out and told the blankety blank what you're going to do, and you've just sawed the limb off inside by the tree. I don't know.
Right, I don't think you want to go back.
I think there are people that do.
I think there are too. I know
Okay, I don't know. Well, I certainly wouldn't. I've never been married, but I can't imagine.
Nobody'd want you back.
Well, no, but I thought it's, do I want to go back?
Yeah, no.
No, I wouldn't want to go back because I think that you've already done that. And even though you might have good memories of some things you did, you also have to be aware of the realization of why it ended.
I don't think people usually think it through well enough, like you're saying.
I mean, it didn't end just because it needed to end. It ended because something...
Well, I mean, there are a lot of people. I mean, I know it's not exactly the same because there are legal documents and a whole bunch of other stuff involved. But like, there are a lot of people who will like break up with a girlfriend that they had and then get back together like a year or so later. I think at some point I do think you probably start to miss the good times you had. I mean, you'll start subconsciously probably underplaying the bad parts and overplaying the good parts. But you're gonna want that back after a while.
Yeah.
And that's why I think a lot of people do end up jumping in and out of relationships with the same person.
And I think if that's the way you're going to be, that's what you should do. Just jump in and out of the relationship and leave it alone. I don't think there's anything... Being an atheist, I don't think much about the wedding ceremony forcing you to stay together. The wedding
I always
legal thing is just forcing you to stay together for the sake of simplicity.
I always just kind of figured, till death do your parts, till death do your part. It's just been one of those kind of things for me.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way, because I feel that way too.
Forever's a long time, though, Glenn.
But I'm not marrying you.
Well, that's what you got to remember is that forever is a long time, and once you hitch up to one of these people, that's a long road.
56 years, not so long.
No, but I think toward the end of it, you look back on it much happier than maybe some of the times were.
Yeah, now I am looking back on mine, and I
Yeah.
do enjoy. I enjoy it more and more and more as I look back on it. We've had 3 absolutely stupendous kids, 7 grandkids of the same caliber, and I can't imagine. I know back when I was in my 30s, I was a pain in the derriere, and I can't imagine my wife stayed with me, but we stayed together because of the marriage.
So sometimes that's what you have to do. The relationship
Force it. Work
does
hard.
win out. But you know, nothing is forever. Nothing.
No, we're going to die.
We're all going to die. And that's, I think, okay.
It's kind of sad.
Well, it's sad, but I mean, it's going to happen to you. It's going to happen to me. It's going to happen to everybody.
I know I'm getting close enough. You don't need to.
Exactly, see? And herein lies the thing. But I think people look at that as too big of a thing. I mean, I just think that it's seen as such a big trauma, but really, have you ever noticed somebody, when somebody dies, they get very depressed, they get very traumatic about the whole thing, but they go not too long after that. I mean, not immediately, but, you know, a lot of times within a decade or two, it's, you know, nobody stays around forever.
I used to beat myself up because I never cried for my mother's death or my father's death or my brother's death. I didn't cry about a person dying until my sister died. And that really hit me hard. But I thought, am I a bad guy because I didn't cry because my father died? No, you have different emotions about that, and the feelings are completely different. The loss I felt, I mean, there was no doubt in my mind that I missed my dad, but I didn't cry about it. It wasn't a sad thing because we all knew, well, Dad had a stroke, so we knew he was going to pass, but I don't know. That's a tough subject. I'm just living mine the best I can.
Right. But, you know, think about that now. You didn't cry when your father died. You didn't cry when your mother died. You did cry when your sister died. But ultimately, time keeps going on.
Yeah.
And you will eventually go.
Yeah.
And that's the
Maybe
circle of life,
tonight.
I guess. Well,
Yeah.
We'll hope not.
It is the circle of life, and it's hard at my age. It's hard to get used to saying when you wake up in the morning, "I woke up today." I
Yeah.
mean, believe it or not, I am a little surprised I'm still alive.
That's always good to hear.
Yeah, well, that's what happens as you get older.
Yeah.
You don't. I don't feel bad that I'm going to die anymore. But you know, I'm glad I'm alive.
But you know what's interesting about it? It all depends on. Well, this is kind of a downer of a conversation, but it all depends kind
Flowers.
of. Yeah, flowery. It all kind of. You know, if somebody dies suddenly, traumatically, that's a trauma, and
Yeah.
you are traumatized by it. But if somebody lives a long time and they get older and sicker and older and sicker, by the end you're saying, I want them to go. I want them not to be in this condition anymore. You know, Alzheimer's is seen that way in a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, it's all the same thing. You're going. So why do we see it so differently? The trauma of a car accident versus
It's the shock.
it's the shock.
Yeah.
It's the shock.
You see one coming. The other one's just,
Right.
I
Well-
just talked to him on the phone.
Yes, I talked to him this morning, and this afternoon they're dead. I mean, Pete Rose, who we recently talked about, he had been at an autograph signing the day before and got on an airplane and flew back home. And the next day he's dead. Now, I'm sure he wasn't worrying about dying.
My wife's, all 4 of my wife's grandparents lived into their 90s, and her mother and father lived into their 90s. And none of them had Alzheimer's, and it wasn't traumatic, but it was kind of a peaceful when they went. Whereas I have a cousin who accidentally shot himself in the head when he was trying to get out of a pit that he had dug, and he's had a rifle and dug the butt into the ground, and it blew his head off. That was a shock. We all were absolutely.
And he was young.
Yes, he was 23 or 4. We were all devastated by that, but not by Grandpa and Grandma Makovsky or people that live into the 90s. That's kind of peaceful if you go that way. I hope I go that way, but not
So,
with the gun.
so again, it's all the same thing, no matter how we interpret it. But again, I think it's also very hard for people to understand that they're going to die.
Yeah.
I think you can believe it, you can say it out loud.
Well, it's just one of those things that it's hard to wrap your head around because your brain knows nothing but life. You've never not known.
That's right.
You've never not known life, so it's hard for you to wrap your head around anything other than existence.
I have never. I was never frightened of dying. I still am not frightened of dying. I'm frightened of how I die, if I get in a car crash or something like that. But I think as you get older, you start to say to yourself, "Well, I am going to die." So you start to ask, "Well, what will happen?" Well, in my feeling, I think the lights will go off, and I won't know that I'm gone. I won't know anything, and that's been peaceful to me.
And who really knows?
Yeah,
I mean,
no
that's the whole. I mean, no matter what, you're a fast driver, you're in ill health, you're older. Who really knows the date? You don't. And you're not going to see it coming. I mean, you're really not. People can tell you all day long. You're not going to know the date or the moment or the hour.
Unless you commit suicide.
Right. So why worry about it?
Yeah.
I
there's
mean,
nothing to
worry about something else.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? Get up in the morning and look at all the obituaries, and those people the day before, most of them did not know that they were going to be on the obituary page the next day.
Yeah.
And you, who are worrying about dying, are here. So spend that time doing something.
I still worry a little bit about it, but I only worry because of, I'll leave my wife with problems. I'll leave her with a house that she's got to take care of and stuff like that. But I don't worry about death.
No. And it's what is it? Public speaking is the biggest fear, and death is number 2.
Really?
Yeah, I think
public
that's
speaking frightens people.
That's what my
I
understanding was.
love to public speak.
Nobody in this room.
No,
Nobody in this room has a problem with it.
No.
Now, this is an interesting story. Actress Kathy Bates recently shared how her mother reacted when she won the 1990 Best Actress Academy Award for the movie Misery. She said, this is what her mother said. She said, "I don't know what all the excitement's about. It's not like you cured cancer." And Kathy Bates said she did not thank her in her acceptance speech for Misery. She's saying that in 2024. This was 1990. Her mother's long gone. So the interviewer said, "Yes, you did thank your mother." And they actually showed
Yeah,
her.
I saw that.
Yes, they showed her a tape of her acceptance speech back in 1990, and she did thank her
Yeah,
mom.
she
And she starts
blotted that.
crying in the interview, and she said, "Thank you. What a relief. I didn't think I thanked her." And she had never looked back at the tape to see if she did. She just thought she didn't. And that's what caused her mother's... She thought her mother reacted that way because she didn't thank her.
Wow.
But she did, and all these years later, she finds this out. So, what does this say? I mean, I just think it's a fascinating story.
I like the mom. She's funny.
Oh, yeah.
Funny woman.
Well,
My mother, we were up at our summer cottage, and my mother started mumbling words, just mumbling. And I said, "Mom, you got to stop talking like that. Well, what's the matter?" She got worse and worse and worse. Well, to make a long story short, we took her to the hospital, and she had not told us that she had part of her knee was sticking through her leg, and she was bleeding to death.
oh,
And so her hemoglobin count was like 3 or something crazy low. And she was just dying of lack of blood. Well, two weeks later, she did die. But I always felt, up until probably 5 or 6 years ago, I felt that I had failed her because I didn't. Well, first of all, I kind of chastised her for talking like that. And then I didn't find out why she was acting like that. And I think that's a horrible feeling. And then my wife said, "You do remember picking her up and carrying her to the car." And I thought, yeah, I did that, There were moments of love even though she was dying.
had your mother been ill before that?
She had always had terrible arthritic problems, and she just never would tell anybody that her knee went. She'd had a artificial knee put in, and when it broke and poked through her skin, she wouldn't tell anybody. She's a proud Massachusetts woman and didn't tell anybody that she was bleeding. And she would just wrap it every day and clean it.
So this was a shock.
It was a huge shock.
Yeah. Well, and isn't that interesting? The things we don't remember. Didn't remember carrying his mom
Yeah.
to the car.
I didn't. Apparently, my wife told me you picked her up, carried her to the car, and told her you loved her all the way out to the car. And that made me feel a lot better. Much like that story you were talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think, Mike? What's it say to you?
So there's some of that Mandela effect where she thinks it was one way and it was actually another way.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. She beat herself up over that, and she didn't need to.
Yeah.
She possibly should have gone back and looked at the video and seen.
But isn't it interesting that she was so sure that she didn't even have to look at the video? There wasn't even a question in her mind.
Yeah, that's kind of amazing.
When the interviewer said, "You did thank her," she said, "No, I didn't."
Yeah.
And she actually she did not believe it until they showed her the tape. I mean, it's unbelievable that can happen.
One of the things you get out of stories like this is make sure you tell the people you love that you love them.
Sure.
All
Right.
the time.
But think of the solace that it gives Kathy Bates today.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
and Kathy Bates is probably as old as her mother at this particular point.
Yeah.
This has been 34 years.
Yeah. Tell your family you love them tonight.
Yeah. Even with all the turmoil that's happened there in the last week or so. But I mean, what do you think? I mean, what does this say to you, a 21-year-old?
I think that when somebody dies, the death itself is such a shock that you kind of forget all the little, pieces that surround it. You just kind of remember, the big parts. And I think that you it's just like you just kind of beat yourself up over it because, it's just everybody has the feeling that they could have done more.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's ever at peace with it. I think you get through it. I'm not sure that you get over it. I'm not sure you ever get over anybody's death who's close to you. I think you get through it. You live through it, but I'm not sure you get over it. I don't know if you do.
A weird thing, two weird things. Number one, the day my father died, we were at his house in Kokomo, and we were driving home that day. So I went up to the bedroom and gave him a kiss and told him I loved him, even though he struggled to speak, but we thought he was getting through his stroke. He died that afternoon on our way home. The other one, what was the other one? Somebody else that died. I'll think of it and get back to it. You always need to make sure you tell people you love them. And if you don't love them, don't tell them that. That doesn't do anybody any good. It really doesn't.
Tell them how you really feel before the end comes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something interesting. It reminds me of election. By the way, we'll have election coverage on election night here at WGH Talk starting at 7:15. It's the 11th year we've done it. It'll be live. We'll be on till the election ends. I remember I went, this is a weird story, but it kind of ties into this, and I think about it now. It was the week of the election, 2016 election. And I knew we had election coverage on Tuesday. And we had been so involved that election cycle. I had moderated the League of Women Voters event. We had had everybody from Jesse Jackson, Jim Jordan, Phyllis Schlafly. I'd been to the Republican convention. And it came to the Friday before the election, and my family was going on vacation just for the weekend. We'd be back on Monday. And I thought, I can't do this. The election's on Tuesday. I can't leave. This is the worst possible time that you could do this. I can't do it. They convinced me to go because we're coming back Monday morning, so I'll be back here Monday night. I'll be on the air Tuesday afternoon. I'll do the election coverage Tuesday night. Okay, I go on that vacation, and a relative dies on the vacation. Completely unexpected. Dies on vacation. Dies on that trip. Okay. So I'm coming back Monday morning. Actually died early Monday morning. Like 1 or 2 in the morning. We're coming back from Michigan that Monday morning. And I did not tell anybody at the radio station that it had happened because I wanted to come in and do election coverage. And I did. And I think that took my mind off of it. And I think it gave me a peace of mind through the entire thing. I was back in my element. I was back at home. The world was still spinning. And even though it was not the happiest election coverage of my life, you have to be on your game that night. You have to think. You have to know who's running. You have to take the calls. You have to. So now that I look back on that, it's not such a traumatic event as it probably was at the time because of how it was handled. And honestly, that was the night during that whole trauma that I thought, okay, this is going to be okay. This is not going to be the most fun thing in the world, but it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Sometimes things get you through things, don't they?
They do. They do. I think it's getting out of that situation. When you're in that situation, it's horrible. But when you get away from it and you get back to the normalcy, the normal part of your life, it's okay.
And partly take your own ego out of the picture. It's no longer just you. It's you and what you have to do and people around you.
Right.
Sounds like, yeah.
Right, and you know that they're not in trouble. You know, for the first, a lot of times we worry about people who, you know, well, you don't have to worry about them at that point. I mean, that's callous to say in a way, but it is true. No. You don't have to worry anymore.
True.
So, you know, so I can relate to the Kathy Bates thing here. I remember that election night probably more than I remember any other election night, and it wasn't because of what was happening with the election. It was just, I could tell you what the weather was like as I was driving to the station that night. I could tell you who was in the room. I could tell you what time we left the station that night because, and I also could tell you that I laughed that night, that it was entertaining. It came back.
Sometimes you feel guilty for laughing at times.
You do, in those moments, 48 hours later. So, life goes on.
Can I get in one more?
Please do.
Friday, this Friday, the 18th.
18th.
At 6:30 out at Tri-Rivers Career Center. We're going to have all the Democratic candidates there. We'll have yard signs there. We'll have giveaways there. We're going to interview all of them, and then we're going to let you ask them any questions you want to. Friday at 6:30 at Tri-Rivers. We'd love to see you out there. It's free.
It's free. And the candidates?
We've got Leslie Verbas coming. We have Tammy Wilson coming. We have. We hope we have Linda. What's Linda's last name? Oh, Davis.
Davis, treasurer.
And we have
Tammy Wilson?
Scott Schwartz coming. Yeah, we missed out on a couple. We got the word today that Sherrod can't make it, but he's a busy man right now.
So 7:30, Tri-Rivers, free, Friday, October the 18th.
You got it.
So that'll be a lot of fun.
See you there.
Now, and no admission.
No admission.
No admission, no. So that'll be good. Is there going to be any type of refreshment?
No, we were going to have some, and then we decided now we'll just get people in and out because people don't want to stand around and sit around. If they want to, they can sit around with their chosen candidate and talk to them. But no, we're not going to have any refreshments. Oh, we were going to have music too, and then we thought, well, that's carrying it too far.
You know, but since we got a moment left here, and we've talked a lot about death in this episode, do you remember, I wish I could remember the guy's name, but do you remember the guy who committed suicide? He wasn't anybody famous, but he committed suicide, and he left a note, and he said, I'm not doing this because I'm sad, I'm not doing this because I'm sick, I'm not doing this because I'm angry, I'm not doing this for any reason, I just want to die.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, I looked that guy's name up because that happened. It's a true story, and his suicide note became, very well known because most suicide notes are "I'm doing this for a reason," and his was "I'm not mad at anybody. I'm not sad about anything. I'm tired. I'm done.
I've done it all. It's time to wrap up the books."
I've thought about it. I mean, I haven't thought about suicide, but I've thought, it'd be easier.
Oh, we about had a...
yeah. I've thought it...
But had quite the story there.
It would be easier to just move on, but...
He was heading out to the dugout.
Heading out to the dugout for the final time.
There you go.
Hey, listen, we're all going to go to the dugout for the final time at one point or another. Will we know it? We won't know. But, by the way, you can catch this station... on YouTube, which is where you can watch these episodes, but you can also listen live each and every day, 8 to 10 a.m., and all of our other special programming by going to wwgh1071.com or downloading the free TuneIn app on any mobile device and searching WGH Talk. It's well worth it. Glenn, good luck at your event.
Thank you.
Glenn is coming back in the next 2 weeks dressed as James Buchanan.
Yeah, we're not sure what day yet.
No, but we'll do it before the event to plug the Dinner with the Presidents coming up, and I believe
You
that's
won't recognize
the
him.
weekend before the only gay president that we know of. He'll be here. I know. Whatever.
He hasn't said he's gay.
No, but yet. Wait till he gets here, and that's where it all will happen. James Buchanan, that'll happen before the event, weekend before the election. That's going to be a lot of fun. For Mike, thanks, Mike, for coming. Matt and Glenn, this is Scott, heading for the dugout.